It started at gate 12. The woman stood alone, eyes fixed on the airline desk. Her hands trembled slightly, one clutching a worn leather folder. She didn't blink much. Didn't breathe deeply either. She couldn't afford to. "Ma'am, I've explained." The agent tried again, voice clipped and tired. "I have clearance," the woman said, holding up her folder. "I'm here to escort my son's body." The words hung in the air like frost. Unmoving. Cold. People nearby turned their heads. Some stared. Most looked away. "I'm sorry," the agent replied, eyes flat. "This isn't showing in the system. You'll need to step aside." "No." Her voice didn't rise. But it hit harder than any shout. Her name was Elira Boone, and she had spent the last 48 hours trying to do the one thing every parent dreads: bring her child home in a box. Private First Class Corin Boone, 21. Killed in action. No further details provided. Not yet. What Elira did know, she was his next of kin. She was on the manifest. The military had arranged everything. Her son was beneath them now, in cargo, sealed in a flag-draped casket. She had the orders. She had the ID. She had the letter from Fort Melgrave Command. Everything. Except belief. The woman at the counter didn't believe her. Not the other agents either. Elira was too composed, too dark-skinned, too tired to explain again. "I'll wait here," she said, setting the folder on the counter like a stone. The line behind her shuffled. A man in a suit sighed loudly. "Can you believe this?" someone muttered. She ignored them. Time passed. An hour. 2. The sun outside rose and fell behind shifting clouds. Then the police arrived. Airport security. 2 officers. One young, one older. Hands resting too comfortably on their belts. "Ma'am, we're going to need to speak with you over here," the younger one said. "I'm not leaving this spot," Elira answered. "You're causing a disturbance. I'm a mother. My son is under this airport. I'm not going anywhere." The older cop squinted. "You raised your voice, ma'am. Then check the tapes." They didn't. They just circled her like she was dangerous. That's when the phone camera lights clicked on. A man nearby, white, maybe mid-40s, stood up. "She's telling the truth," he said. "I saw her paperwork." Elira didn't know who he was. Didn't care. But he stood by her. Others slowly followed. Voices rose. Then a tremble in her hands again. This wasn't grief. It was fury. It was humiliation. Again. Just then, her phone buzzed. A message from Fort Melgrave. "We're aware of the delay. Stay where you are. Someone is coming." So she stayed. The terminal grew quiet. Tense. Then the twist. A supervisor arrived. "You're authorized," she said. There was a system error. Too late. Too hollow. Elira didn't respond. Just picked up her folder and walked toward the gate. She didn't look back. Behind her, passengers stared, silent now. Humbled. Maybe even ashamed. But too late for that too. Inside the jetway, a flight attendant waited. "We're honored to have you aboard, ma'am," she said softly. "You'll sit with the crew near the front." Elira nodded once. Her seat was empty, except for a folded blanket. A small cup of water. She sat. Closed her eyes. She hadn't cried. Not yet. She reached into her coat pocket and touched the charm. 2 interlocked rings. "You and me don't break." Corin had said that to her the night before he left. It was raining that night. He was wearing a hoodie, too big for him, but it made him look small. She remembered him laughing, saying she worried too much. "Ma, I'm just doing training," he'd said. "Nothing's gonna happen." But it did. Now she was here. The engines roared. If you're enjoying this so far, make sure to hit that subscribe button. It really helps us grow and lets us keep bringing you more content like this. Plus, you won't want to miss what we have coming next. Trust me, it's going to be good. The plane lifted, and for the first time in days, she allowed a tear to fall. The landing was quiet. They touched down in North Carolina, a military base town. Dry air, hard light, no skyline, just road signs and trees that looked like they hadn't moved in years. Elira was the last to disembark. 2 Army escorts stood at the end of the jet bridge. "Ms. Boone?" the older one asked. She nodded. "I'm Lieutenant Kale. This is Sergeant Nilsson. We'll take you to the chapel." The van was plain. No markings. Inside, no one spoke. "Did you hear what happened back there?" she asked finally. Kale nodded through the rearview mirror. "We saw the footage. It's moving fast." "I didn't ask for that." "We know." She looked out the window. Billboards. Parking lots. Churches. Everything looked too normal for what she was carrying. At the base chapel, they were already preparing. The sun poured through stained glass. Rows of chairs stood in formation. A podium, a table, Corin's photo. Boots, helmet, folded flag. Everything was too quiet. Then she saw it. His uniform, hanging straight, medals aligned. Still. Final. He was proud of that jacket, the lieutenant said. Said it made him stand taller. She stepped forward, touched the fabric. Her fingertips stayed there too long. He said he liked the weight, she whispered. Said it reminded him of what he owed. She turned. Her eyes were sharp. I never wanted him to wear this in a box. No one answered. They didn't have to. Later that day, someone knocked. 2 women from the Family Affairs office. Ms. Boone, we need to tell you. What? There's a video. From the airport. Someone filmed the exchange. It's gone viral. She stiffened. You're all over the news. Networks are calling. I don't care. We understand. But there's power in what happened. People are listening. Elira didn't move. I want my son's name respected. Not mine. Understood, the woman said. But stories like yours change things. She didn't say anything. By morning, her phone wouldn't stop. Texts, calls, emails, old friends, strangers. I saw you in the video. I cried in my car. My son's still deployed. You spoke for all of us. And one that broke her. They saw your skin before they saw your grief. I'm sorry. She turned the phone off. Left it face down. That afternoon, the local news station called. She almost said no. But then she looked at Corin's photo. If I do this, she told them, you say his name. Not mine. His. Over and over. They agreed. The interview was simple. No stage lights. No makeup. Just her, holding Corin's photo, seated in the chapel. Her voice was soft, but not fragile. He was my only child. He wasn't perfect. He left dishes in the sink. He never remembered to charge his phone. But he kept his word. She paused. Said he'd come home one way or another. And if he didn't, I had to be the one to bring him back. She swallowed. I did. The footage aired that night. And then the story exploded. National news. Morning shows. Online forums. The quiet strength of a mother. When dignity gets denied. But Elira said nothing more. She wouldn't give another interview. Wouldn't write a post. She had said what she needed. The country could do what it wanted with that. Days passed. Then the letter came. Delivered by hand. Marked confidential. She opened it alone. It wasn't from the army. It was from an air marshal. A contact from inside the Department of Transportation. One paragraph stood out. The delay at the airport was not a technical issue. A flag was placed on your booking 2 hours prior. Manual. Internal. No automated trigger. It was added by a staffer using override access. We are investigating. Elira stared at the page. Her throat tightened. Someone had stopped her on purpose. She read the name signed at the bottom. Marshal P. Ellerby. Not a name she recognized. But someone out there had made a decision. Had labeled her presence a threat. Had paused a mother from reaching her son. And now, someone was trying to warn her. She reached for her phone. Paused. Then checked the folder again. Still there. His letter. The one Corin had sent her from overseas. The final lines burned brighter now. If anything happens, don't trust what they say first. You keep asking. You keep pushing. I know you, Ma. You don't back down. She didn't. Not now. That night, her phone lit up again. A number she didn't know. She let it ring. Then the voicemail came through. She played it back. A man's voice. Breathy. Nervous. You're not safe. That folder, don't show it to anyone else. Please. Just stay quiet. Someone's already watching. Click. The message ended. Elira didn't move. Didn't cry. Didn't speak. She just stood up. Slowly. Quietly. And locked the door. The chapel was silent. The folded flag rested in her lap, its weight heavier than before. Outside, the wind whispered through the courtyard, a haunting reminder of the journey that had brought her here. She sat alone, the echoes of the memorial service still lingering in the air. The image of her son, smiling in his uniform, was etched into her memory. She had fulfilled her promise, bringing him home, but the pain remained, a constant ache that refused to fade. Her phone buzzed, breaking the silence. Another message, another request for an interview. She ignored it, her focus fixed on the flag in her hands. A knock at the door startled her. She rose, opening it to find Captain Alder standing there, his expression solemn. "Mrs. Drayton," he began, "there's something you need to see." He handed her a tablet, the screen displaying a video. It was footage from the airport in Monroe, the moment when she had been denied access to her son's remains. The video had gone viral, sparking outrage across the nation. She watched in silence, her emotions a whirlwind of grief and anger. The injustice she had faced was now public knowledge, her pain shared by millions. Captain Alder spoke again, his voice gentle. "There's more. We've received reports that the airline is conducting an internal investigation. They want to speak with you." She shook her head. "I have nothing to say to them." He nodded, understanding. "I thought you'd say that. But there's someone else who wants to talk to you. A journalist from the Sentinel. She claims to have information about what happened in Monroe." Curiosity piqued. She agreed to meet the journalist. They arranged to meet at a nearby cafe, a neutral location where they could talk privately. The journalist, a young woman named Elena, arrived promptly, her demeanor professional yet compassionate. She began by expressing her condolences, then delved into the reason for her visit. "Mrs. Drayton, I've been investigating the events at Monroe Airport. I've uncovered evidence that suggests the airline's actions were not just a mistake, but part of a larger pattern of discrimination." She listened intently as Elena detailed her findings, each revelation more shocking than the last. The airline had a history of mistreating passengers, particularly those of color, and had faced multiple lawsuits in the past. The pieces began to fall into place, the puzzle of her experience taking shape. Her son's death had become a catalyst for change, exposing systemic issues that had long been ignored. Elena handed her a folder, the contents damning. Internal memos, emails, and testimonies from former employees painted a grim picture of the airline's practices. She felt a surge of determination. This was no longer just about her and her son. It was about justice, about ensuring that no other family would endure what she had. Returning to the base, she met with Captain Alder, sharing the information she had received. He listened carefully, his expression grave. "This changes everything," he said. "We need to take this to the higher-ups." Together, they compiled a report, presenting their findings to military officials and government representatives. The response was swift. An investigation launched into the airline's practices. As the days passed, the story continued to gain traction. News outlets picked up the story, public pressure mounting. The airline issued a formal apology, pledging to implement new policies and training programs. But for her, the fight was far from over. She began working with advocacy groups, sharing her story, and pushing for legislative changes to protect the rights of grieving families. Her son's memory became a symbol of resilience and hope, his name etched into the annals of history. Through her pain, she found purpose, transforming her grief into a force for good. One evening, as she sat in the chapel, the folded flag in her lap, she whispered, "I brought you home, my boy, and now, I'm making sure your legacy lives on." Outside, the wind carried her words into the night, a testament to a mother's love and unwavering strength. The church fell silent. All eyes locked on the figure at the back, tall, dark-suited, shoulders squared like armor. No one moved, not even the choir, because standing there, in the doorway of St. Dolores Baptist, was the last man anyone expected to see. Darren. He wasn't dead. He wasn't buried. He was here, and he wasn't alone. A small gasp broke from Maya's lips. Her knees nearly gave out. She clutched the pew to keep from collapsing. The photo on the easel, the one of Darren smiling in his nurse scrubs, blurred behind her tears. This wasn't possible, because she had watched him die. She had felt his body go cold on the hospital gurney. She had held his mother as she screamed. The man in the doorway wasn't blinking. His eyes scanned the room like he didn't recognize it. Or maybe like he did, but remembered it differently. A scar traced the side of his head. His face was leaner. The fire in his eyes was gone, replaced with ice. And standing beside him, arms crossed, smirking with the smugness of a snake, was Sheriff Rader. The same man who'd sworn Darren was dead. The same one who'd zipped the body bag. And now he was walking him down the aisle. As if this were just another Sunday. As if this weren't the funeral of a dead man who never died. Someone screamed. Maya turned. It was Kendra, Darren's sister. She shot from her seat, stumbling toward him. "Darren?" The man didn't flinch. He didn't even look at her. Kendra froze, inches from him. Her hands hovered in the air like she was afraid to touch him. Like he might disappear. He looked right past her. And then he walked to the front of the church. Rader followed like a shadow. Past the coffin. Past the mourners. Past the choir. And then he turned around. The church was quiet again. Maya's heartbeat thundered in her ears. She couldn't breathe, couldn't think. Her hands trembled in her lap. And then Darren spoke. But it wasn't his voice. Not really. I didn't die, he said flatly. There was no accident. There was no body. Because I never died. Gasps rippled through the pews. I was taken, he said. Maya's head snapped up. Taken? Pastor Grady asked, stepping forward. Darren didn't answer. He looked down at his hands, as if they belonged to someone else. Sheriff Radin cleared his throat. Ladies and gentlemen, he said, putting a hand on Darren's shoulder, what you're seeing here is a miracle. Maya's stomach twisted. Darren was part of a federal witness protection operation. Rader continued, calm, smooth, practiced. It was top secret. His staged death was necessary to protect him during a major investigation. Protect him? Kendra snapped. From what? From us. His family? Darren didn't look at her. Rader held up his hands. I know this is a shock, but you'll come to understand in time. What we did, what the federal government did, was for everyone's safety. Then why fake his death? Pastor Grady asked. Why let us bury an empty casket? Rader's smile didn't reach his eyes. Sometimes truth has to wait. Maya rose slowly to her feet. Her voice cut through the hush. So what now? Rader turned. This man was mourned, she said, her voice shaking. We grieved him, buried him. You think we can just forget that? We'll answer all questions, Rader said. In time. Maya stepped forward. No. Now. You don't get to drop a ghost into a funeral and walk out. Darren finally looked at her. For the first time. And something shifted. His eyes met hers. For a flicker, a single second, she saw him. The real him. Then he blinked. And it was gone. Rader pulled out a manila folder from his jacket and handed it to the pastor. These are the official documents. You'll see that everything was signed off. Sealed. Authorized. By who? Maya demanded. Rader didn't answer. Instead, he turned. Darren, let's go. But Darren didn't move. He was staring at the coffin. The coffin that once held nothing. Or maybe something else. He took a slow step forward. Then another. Maya felt her heart thudding. Darren, she called. He stopped. Kendra reached for him again, this time grabbing his wrist. You don't remember us? He looked at her, then gently pulled away. And then he opened the coffin. People screamed. Some stood. Some cried. Some crossed themselves. The lid creaked. And then silence. The inside was empty. No body. Just fabric. No bones. No weight. Maya's knees buckled. She sank onto the pew. Darren turned to the crowd. I saw things, he said softly. Things I wasn't supposed to. The night I disappeared. I wasn't supposed to live. He looked at Rader. I begged them to tell my family I was alive. Rader's jaw clenched. They refused. The church erupted into chaos. Voices rose. Shouting. Crying. Kendra collapsed into her mother's arms. Pastor Grady stood frozen, folder in hand. And Rader? He stood silent. Watching. Calculating. Maya pushed through the crowd, grabbing Darren's arm. What happened to you? His lips trembled. He leaned close. They made me into someone else, he whispered. But I remember you. Tears spilled down her cheeks. Rader grabbed Darren's shoulder. That's enough. No, Maya snapped, stepping between them. You don't control him anymore. Rader's hand drifted to his belt. A hush fell over the front of the church. Darren stared at the sheriff's hand. Then at Maya. She deserves to know, Darren said. No one deserves to die for secrets, Rader replied coldly. Pastor Grady spoke from behind. You brought this into God's house, Sheriff. That means it's under his roof now. You won't draw blood here. Rader's lips curled in a sneer. But he didn't move. Darren turned to the crowd again. There's a file, he said. A report. Buried under fake names and redactions. It's why I was taken. It's why they made me disappear. Maya's voice was hoarse. Where is it? Darren looked down. His voice dropped. Underneath Station 4. In the sublevel. Behind the old evidence vault. Raiden's face turned pale. Too pale. Maya caught it. Everyone did. The sheriff tried to speak, but Darren cut him off. If I disappear again, he said, staring at Maya, go there. And then the front doors slammed open again. Men in suits flooded in. No badges. No names. Just orders. They surrounded Darren in seconds. One grabbed his arm. Another spoke into a radio. No, Kendra screamed. He's not going anywhere. But they dragged him down the aisle like a prisoner. Maya fought to reach him, but a man shoved her back. Darren didn't resist. He looked over his shoulder at her and mouthed one word, "Run." Then they were gone. The doors slammed shut. Maya stood alone, fists clenched, heart in shards. But something else moved inside her now. Not grief. Not fear. Fire. She turned to Pastor Grady. "Do you have keys to the station?" He nodded slowly. "I was a chaplain there years ago." Maya looked around, at the faces of people who had lost their minds. Their trust. Their peace. "This isn't over," she said. And then the church lights flickered. A whisper passed through the air, almost like a warning, or a threat. From somewhere deep beneath that old station, something was waking up, and it wasn't going to stay buried. The scream still echoed in her ears. Nia's knees scraped the asphalt as she dropped behind the rusted dumpster. The air stank of oil and rot. Her heart thudded against her ribs like a warning drum. The man, the one with the wild eyes and trembling hands, had pulled the trigger. But not at her. The sound wasn't a warning shot. It was contact. She couldn't breathe. From the corner of her eye, she saw a shadow collapse. Fast. Heavy. Too fast for a bluff. A groan. Then nothing. "Stay down." Jalen's voice, somewhere far, strained, hoarse. Then silence again. The gunman was panting. She heard it. Quick. Sharp. Like a trapped animal. Then a click. The sound of an empty chamber. He was out. Jalen lunged. Nia saw it all in a blur. Him rushing, the man turning too late, the metal gun clattering to the pavement as fists met flesh. But her eyes didn't stay there. Her gaze drifted to the body on the ground. Not just any body. Sheriff Talmond, blood pooling beneath his left shoulder. Mouth slack, eyes open, staring straight at the sky like he was seeing something no one else could. Nia staggered forward. Her hands trembled as they reached for his pulse. Nothing. He wasn't moving. Not blinking. Not breathing. She didn't know if the bullet had pierced his heart or just shocked it into silence. But she knew death when she saw it. She'd seen enough of it on hospital floors. She could feel it in the air. And it was here now. Sheriff Talmond was dead. By the time the sirens wailed down the main road of Timberfield, the scene was chaos. 3 cop cars, 2 ambulances, 1 news van. The gas station was lit up like a stage. Nia stood just outside the yellow tape, her arms crossed tightly around her chest, blood smeared across her scrubs and fingers. Jalen sat on the curb, breathing hard. His fists were bruised. The gunman, handcuffed, twitching, was being shoved into the back of a cruiser by one of the deputies. But not Deputy Riggs, because Riggs had vanished. He was nowhere on scene. And that was the first crack, the first thing that didn't make sense. How the hell does a deputy walk away from a crime scene? Jalen muttered. He was here. I saw him behind the pump. Then gone. The new acting sheriff, a round-faced man named Devron, didn't answer. He just stared at the blood pooling beneath the pump station. His knuckles were white around his clipboard. "There's something off here," Nia whispered. Devron heard her. "What are you suggesting, Miss Harper?" She met his gaze. "I'm saying this doesn't feel like a robbery gone wrong. It feels like something else." He didn't argue. Didn't confirm it, either. But he didn't tell her she was wrong. 3 hours later, she sat in a room colder than any hospital ward. Timberfield Station interrogation room had no windows. Just one overhead bulb and the distant sound of a copier running endlessly outside. She rubbed her hands together. The chill wouldn't leave her. Across from her sat Investigator Wren, newly arrived from the county seat. Young, clean cut, all business. He tapped his pen. "Walk me through it again." She had, 3 times already. But she did it again. Everything. From the man with the shaking hands, to the way Sheriff Talmond had stepped between her and the barrel, to the way Deputy Riggs disappeared. This time she added something. The gunman said something weird. "What?" He said. It wasn't supposed to be him. Right after he shot. Wren froze. He stopped writing. "What did you say?" Nia leaned forward. He looked panicked. Like it was a mistake. Like the wrong person was hit. Wren stood. Left the room. She didn't know what that meant. Not yet. But the words echoed inside her. It wasn't supposed to be him. The next morning, Timberfield was a different town. The mayor issued a statement. Called Talmond a pillar of peace. Flags flew at half-staff. But Nia didn't believe it. She kept replaying everything. Why would a man hold up a gas station in a town with 2 exits and 3 patrol cars? Why did Riggs disappear seconds after the shot? And why did the shooter look more scared than anyone else? Then, mid-morning, Wren returned. With news. He tossed a photo onto her kitchen table. She stared at it. It was blurry, grainy, a still from the gas station security camera. But it was clear enough. Deputy Riggs, behind the pump, phone to his ear, smiling, seconds before the shot was fired. I ran his call records, Wren said. And, right before the shooting, he called this number. He slid a paper toward her. It's registered to a burner. No owner. Prepaid. Untraceable. Nia looked up. So he was talking to someone? Yes. And then vanished? Yes. Wren leaned in. Nia, I think you're right. This wasn't random. She felt her stomach turn. He continued. We found something else. Talmond was investigating someone inside the department. Riggs, possibly. For missing evidence. Internal stuff. What kind of evidence? But he didn't answer that. Instead, he asked, You still have the flash drive? Her heart skipped. The flash drive. The one Talmond gave her in part 2. The one she hadn't opened. She pulled it from her drawer. Hands shaky. Wren took it. Plugged it into his laptop. They watched the files load. Folders. Dozens. Each one labeled with dates. Names. Case numbers. Some were familiar. One in particular. File 0731D. The man Jalen had told her about. The one whose arrest video was deleted. The one Talmond had said shouldn't have been locked up. The file had copies of body cam footage. Statements. Altered reports. And a memo. From Riggs. To someone labeled only as DW. Wren stiffened. That's not a deputy. That's... He didn't finish. Because just then his phone rang. He answered. And his face drained. What is it? Nia asked. He looked at her, pale. Jalen. He's missing. Nia couldn't sit. She couldn't breathe. She paced the floor of the station lobby, her fists clenched. Her mind spinning. Missing how? She demanded. He was just here. He stayed at my place last night. He left early, Wren said. We tracked his phone to the south exit. Then it went dark. Dark? Like someone pulled the battery. She felt the panic crawl up her throat. Check the cameras. The exit cams. They've been wiped. She stopped. You're saying? I'm saying someone with access shut it all down. A pause. Then, someone inside. She felt sick. Wren wasn't finished. We found something else. Near the woods past town. A tire track. Deep. Fresh. She didn't wait. She was already moving. The woods were damp. Moss-covered roots reached out like arms. Every snap of a twig made her flinch. The trail Wren followed was faint, but it was there, mud-crushed grass and broken branches. Then they found it. A phone. Jalen's. Face cracked. Battery missing. Beside it, something worse. A boot print. One Wren recognized. Riggs. It was his make. His tread. But not just his. There was another. Heavier. Larger. 2 men had taken him. Not just one. Which meant they weren't done yet. And Nia? She was next. She knew too much. But she also had something they didn't. The flash drive. The names. The proof. She turned to Wren. We go public. He hesitated. Not yet. What? We need more. Enough to bring it all down. If we move now, they'll bury it. She clenched her jaw. Then her phone buzzed. One message. No name. Just a picture. Of Jalen. Tied to a chair. Eyes closed. Bruised. And 3 words. Drop it. Now. The air felt like lead. Nia couldn't move. Couldn't breathe. Couldn't even cry. The back seat was soaked in silence. Except for the shallow, rapid breaths of her son. The sirens had faded. But the chaos hadn't. She looked down. Blood. On her hands. Her pants. Her shirt. Not hers. His. Jalen was still. His eyes were closed. His face pale. His shoulder, shredded from the bullet. Blood poured from him like a broken promise. She pressed harder on the wound, trying to stop the flow. Stay with me, she whispered. Please. He didn't respond. The flash of headlights startled her. A car pulled into the alley, headlights off. Dark. Quiet. It stopped. The engine died. Nia's heart hammered. She didn't move. A door creaked open. Then another. 2 figures stepped out. Not uniforms. Not rescue. The first man walked slowly. His silhouette tall, stocky. He stopped halfway to the car and lit a cigarette. The cherry burned red in the dark. The second man circled behind the car. She knew they weren't here to help. She reached for the glove box. Her hands shook. She fumbled. Found the small revolver Jalen kept there. She'd never fired a gun before. Didn't matter. She looked at her son, then at Jalen. Then she stepped out of the car. "Get back in," the first man called. Voice cold. Too calm. "I said get." She raised the gun. He froze. "Don't," she said. The second man stepped into view behind her. She turned fast, heart pounding. "Don't move," she warned. But he didn't stop. He took one more step. She fired. The sound cracked through the night like lightning. He dropped. The first man cursed, pulled a pistol from his waistband. She ducked. Another shot. This one missed. Hit the windshield. Her ears rang. She scrambled back inside the car, dragging Jalen toward her. Her son screamed, crying now. "Mommy! Down!" she yelled, shielding him with her body. Tires screeched. The first man was gone. His car peeled out of the alley, tires spitting gravel. She looked back at the man she shot. He was crawling. Not dead, but bleeding, groaning. His leg was hit. She reached for her phone. Dialed. Busy. Tried again. No answer. Then the headlights returned. Not from the alley. From the road ahead. A sheriff's cruiser. Her blood froze. It pulled up slow. Deliberate. One door opened. Then another. Sheriff Keene and Deputy Rusk. They saw everything. The broken windshield. The blood. The body on the ground. But they didn't look surprised. Rusk stepped forward, hand on his belt. "You all right?" he asked. Nia didn't answer. Keene crouched beside the injured man on the ground. He didn't help him. Just looked at him. Then looked at Nia. "You didn't kill him," he said flatly. "No. Pity." He stood. The air shifted. Something unspoken passed between the two deputies. Keene stepped closer to Nia's door. "Put the gun down," he said. "I was defending myself." He nodded, slowly. "You were." Then his tone changed. "But that's not how this'll look." She blinked. "What?" "Shots fired. Man down. Blood all over your car. Another man inside with a record. Your prints on the gun." Her chest tightened. "I called for help." "No record of any call," Rusk said. She stared at him. "I tried twice." "No calls from your phone in the last 10 minutes, Keene cut in. "We checked." She swallowed hard. Her grip on the revolver tightened. Jalen groaned behind her. Keene looked at the blood. "You need a hospital," he said. She nodded. "You'll get one," he said. "But first, we need to talk. I'm not saying anything without a lawyer." He smiled. "That's the problem." Rusk opened the back door, pulled Jalen out roughly. Nia screamed. "He's bleeding, stop." "Shut up," Rusk barked. Keene leaned in. "Here's what's going to happen. You'll ride with me. Quietly. We'll clean this up. Get you a deal. Say it was a misunderstanding." "It wasn't." "I don't care." She shook her head. "This is a setup." He smiled thinly. "It's survival." Rusk tossed Jalen into the second cruiser like luggage. The man Nia shot was still groaning. "Alive. Proof." Keene glanced at him, then pulled his gun. Nia screamed, "No." But the shot rang out. The man stopped moving. Keene holstered the weapon. "Now he's dead," he said flatly. Nia backed away, gun still in her hand. Breathing sharp. Keene looked at her. "You sure you want to be holding that thing when backup arrives?" She hesitated. Rusk returned. "Hospital's 10 out. We'll meet them there," Keene said. "After we get her statement." Nia stared at the dead man. At Jalen. At her son, still sobbing. Then she turned the gun. Slowly. Held it out to Keene. Her fingers trembled. He took it. "Smart choice," he said. But she knew it wasn't. Inside the cruiser, the air was too quiet. Keene drove. One hand on the wheel. One on the radio. Nia sat stiffly. Her wrists weren't cuffed, but they might as well have been. She watched the dark road through the window. Every tree looked like a threat. "Who were they?" she asked. Keene didn't answer. "Why were they after us?" He stayed silent. Then finally, "Wrong place. Wrong people." "That's not good enough." He didn't look at her. "The man I shot, he was one of yours?" He didn't deny it. And that was enough. They reached the hospital. Keene pulled up to the emergency bay. Nurses rushed out to grab Jalen. His shirt soaked red. His face ashen. Her son was pulled close by a medic. Rusk stayed behind. Keene opened her door. She didn't move. "You're not under arrest," he said. "Then why am I here?" "Because I don't want this going any further than it has to." "Too late." He lowered his voice. "You've seen things you shouldn't have. Done things you shouldn't. I defended myself." "I know. But that doesn't matter." Not anymore. She stepped out. The hospital lights felt too bright, too clean. A doctor called for a gurney. Nia tried to follow Jalen, but Keen blocked her path. Later, he said. We talk first. She looked past him, at the emergency room doors, at her son disappearing into the bright hallway. Then at Keen, at his eyes, cold, controlled, but underneath fear. He was scared, not of her, of something else. She spoke low. You're hiding something. He didn't answer, but she saw it. Something was coming, and he was already losing control. They sat in a small consultation room. The air was stale, the walls yellowed. One window, no mirror, no cameras. Too convenient. Keen leaned against the table. You said something earlier, that it was a setup. She nodded. He waited. She didn't speak. He stood straight. We can't protect you if you don't cooperate. She stared at him. You killed a man in front of me. He would have talked. So talk to me. He paused, then sighed. Those men weren't locals. They were hired. To scare someone. Who? You. Her blood ran cold. Why? He looked away. You saw too much. That gas station, it wasn't random. That night, someone recorded everything. Your face. Your reaction. And worse, your name got out. How? Doesn't matter. It does to me. He slammed his fist on the table. She didn't flinch. Look, he said. I'm trying to stop this from exploding. But I'm not the only one with a stake in this. People higher up. Names you wouldn't believe. Try me. State. Federal. Private. Doesn't matter. Once it started circulating, once you became a symbol, things changed. I didn't ask to be a symbol. He nodded. But now you are. The door opened. A nurse stepped in. Jalen Harper. Stable. In surgery. But he'll make it. Nia's knees almost gave out. The nurse left. Keen watched her. You got lucky, he said. No. I fought. He nodded once. Then stepped closer. But now the real fight starts. She narrowed her eyes. What does that mean? He opened the door. Motioned for her to follow. Down the hallway. Past the ICU. To a back office. Inside, a screen. A paused video. Security footage. From the alley. Not the hospital's. Someone else's. Keen hit play. It showed the whole scene. Nia. The gun. The attackers. The shot. But then something new. The second man, before she turned, he pulled something from his jacket. Not a gun. A badge. Her knees buckled. She grabbed the desk. He was an agent, Keen said quietly. Undercover. Nia's breath caught. But you said. I didn't know. Not until now. The screen flickered. And then another figure stepped into frame. Watching from the alley's edge. A woman. Blonde. Pale coat. Holding a phone. Watching everything. And smiling. Keen froze the frame. Who is she? He didn't answer. Because he didn't know. But Nia did. She remembered her. From the gas station. She was there that night. Watching. The image on the screen froze. The woman in the pale coat. Smiling. Nia's breath caught. She remembered her. From the gas station. That night. Watching. Always watching. Keen's voice cut through the silence. Who is she? Nia turned to him, eyes wide. You don't know. He shook his head. She was there. That night. At the gas station. Keen's brow furrowed. She was watching. Recording. He leaned closer to the screen. Zoom in. The technician complied. The woman's face filled the screen. Cold eyes. Thin lips. A smirk that sent chills down Nia's spine. Keen's phone buzzed. He glanced at it. Paled. We need to go. Why? He didn't answer. Just grabbed her arm. Pulled her out of the room. Down the hallway. Past the ICU. To the parking lot. Rusk was waiting. Engine running. Keen shoved Nia into the back seat. What's going on? He looked at her. They're here. Who? A black SUV screeched into the lot. Doors flew open. Men in suits poured out. Guns drawn. Keen floored the gas. Tires squealed. Bullets shattered the rear window. Nia ducked. Heart pounding. Who are they? Keen didn't answer. Just drove. Fast. Through red lights. Down alleys. Finally, he stopped. An abandoned warehouse. They got out. Rusk covered the rear. Inside, it was dark. Dusty. Silent. Keen turned to Nia. That woman. She's not just a witness. Then who is she? He hesitated. An operative. Deep cover. For who? He looked away. Doesn't matter. It does to me. He sighed. She's part of a program. Off the books. Surveillance, manipulation, control. Why target me? You saw something. Something they wanted hidden. Nia's mind raced. The gas station. The shooting. He nodded. They needed a scapegoat. You fit the profile. She stepped back. This is bigger than I thought. Keen's phone buzzed again. He checked it. Trace found. They're coming. Rusk cursed. We need to move. Keen turned to Nia. You have a choice. Run, and they'll hunt you forever. Or fight. She looked at him. Determined. I'll fight. He nodded. Good. He handed her a file. Everything you need is in here. Names. Locations. Evidence. She took it. Clutched it. What's the plan? Keen smiled. Expose them. Suddenly, the door burst open. The woman in the pale coat stepped in. Gun raised. Going somewhere? Nia froze. Keen reached for his weapon. Too late. A shot rang out. Keen collapsed. Blood pooling. Rusk fired. Missed. The woman vanished into the shadows. Nia dropped to her knees. Checked Keen's pulse. Gone. Rusk pulled her up. We have to go. They ran. Out the back. Into the night. Sirens wailed in the distance. Nia clutched the file. Her only hope. They disappeared into the darkness. Determined. Ready. They ran. No lights. No roads. Just cold wind and dirt. Behind them, the warehouse burned. Flames rising like a beacon. Keen was gone. Nia didn't look back. She couldn't. Rusk led the way. Down side streets. Through alleyways. Past silent windows and watching eyes. They stopped 2 miles out. Breathless. Shaking. He looked at her. We're out of time. She nodded, holding the file tight against her chest. Her fingers were bleeding. She hadn't noticed. Where do we go now? Rusk pulled a burner phone from his jacket. No more hiding. He dialed. A voice answered. You sure? The voice said. Rusk glanced at Nia. I'm sure. Then he hung up. He turned to her. There's one person left who can help. But once we go to her, there's no coming back. Who? He paused. My sister. She used to run intercepts for them. She got out. Nia narrowed her eyes. You trust her? I don't trust anyone, he said. But she owes me. They moved again. Fast. Quiet. No cars. Only shadows. They reached a gated property by dawn. Metal fence. 2 cameras. 1 dog. No sign of life. Then the door opened. A woman stood there. Short. Strong. Gray hair tied back. Eyes sharp. She stared at Nia. You brought her here? Rusk nodded. She needs to see it. The woman stepped aside. Come in. They entered a dark room. No windows. Just screens. Cables. Surveillance equipment. Everything still ran. Nia clutched the file. I have proof. Names. Accounts. Videos. The woman looked at it. Then her. They already know you have it. I figured, Nia said. The woman took the file. Scanned the pages. 1 photo stopped her. It was the woman in the pale coat. She went still. I know her. Nia stepped closer. She killed Keen. The woman nodded slowly. She used to work with me. She's not just an operative. She's the one who created the entire program. Nia's stomach dropped. She's behind this? She was. The woman dropped the file. But she's not in control anymore. What do you mean? Rusk turned. She's rogue. She went dark years ago, his sister added. But she kept the tools. The people. Everything. She's not cleaning up for the agency, Rusk said. She's cleaning up for herself. Nia's breath hitched. So why me? The woman looked directly at her. You weren't supposed to survive the gas station. The moment you did, she lost control. Nia sat down. Silent. The gas station. That single moment. And now this. I want to end it. The woman raised an eyebrow. Then you'll have to take her down. How? A beat passed. The woman turned to the screens. Typed a command. A location appeared. An island off the coast. Private. Fortified. She's there, the woman said. Waiting. Nia stood. Then that's where I'm going. They reached the airstrip at midnight. 1 small plane. Rusk at the controls. Nia in the passenger seat. Nothing else. No backup. No plan. Only purpose. She held the file in her lap. Everything led here. The wind howled outside. As they approached the island, fog blanketed the trees. Hold on, Rusk warned. He dropped low. Silent. No lights. They landed rough. Trees scraped the wings. But they made it. They climbed out. The forest was quiet. Too quiet. Then, movement. 3 figures. Guns raised. Nia hit the ground. Rusk opened fire. 2 fell. The third ran. Nia chased. She moved fast. Down a path. Into a clearing. And stopped. The woman in the pale coat was waiting. No gun. Just her. Calm. Dead calm. I wondered how long it'd take. Nia didn't speak. She stepped closer. The woman smiled. You're not here to arrest me. No. You're here to end it. Yes. Then do it. She raised her arms. Defiant. Daring. But Nia didn't shoot. She stepped forward. Close. You want this to end? She whispered. Of course I do. Then confess. The woman laughed. Confess to what? To murder. To manipulation. To all of it. The woman stepped back. Eyes narrowed. You think that will stop what's coming? No, Nia said. But it'll start something else. Behind her, Rusk appeared. Recording. Broadcasting. Every word. The woman's eyes widened. Realization hit. It was live. Everything was live. Too late now. She lunged. Nia stepped aside. Rusk fired once. She dropped. Face twisted. Still alive. Nia stood over her. You watched me beg for help. You let them put me in a cage. The woman coughed. You think the world cares? No, Nia said. But I do. She turned. Walked away. Left her there. The sun rose behind them. For the first time in weeks, Nia felt air in her lungs. Real air. Rusk walked beside her. You ready for what comes next? No, she said. But I'll face it. The screen faded to black. The broadcast had ended. But the story had just begun.